Good afternoon. This is meteorologist James Olive here with Dynamic Weather Agency LLC, giving you a severe weather forecast update for the multi-day severe thunderstorm event that we're going to be tracking. Now, before I get into today's video, I do want to encourage you guys to hit that like button down below and subscribe to our channel. It does help out that YouTube algorithm, allows more people to find today's video and be able to be weather aware for the upcoming multi-day severe weather event. Not only that, I do encourage you guys to go down to that description section in this video. Be sure to give us a follow on social media. You can find all the links down below down there, and also visit us online on our website at dynamicweatheragency.com, where you can find forecast, blog updates, live radar, along with our interactive tropical tracker if you're interested in tracking hurricanes in the tropics. Not only that, down there in the description section, there's also a link to our Patreon page where you can help support this channel, allow me to help create more videos like this, fun research, storm chasing, along with being able to fund things like continue to do website upgrades on our website and things like that. So I do appreciate anyone who does check out our videos, and let's get into today's video. Now, starting off with today's video, I do want to take a look at the current basically satellite and radar. For the most part, there is a couple of unusual things going on. We're starting to see a lot more precipitation starting to impact parts of the Pacific Northwest and the western coast of the United States. We have some nice deep upper level troughs moving on into the region, providing a lot of rain for this region that has not seen a lot of rain for some time. We also have some snow showers in parts of Nevada, Idaho, and parts of Utah this morning into the afternoon, and a complex of showers moving on through parts of Missouri this afternoon, with a little bit of lightning and thunder in some of these showers within this region. Back in Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, we do have some clearing skies, but we are seeing some increasing cloud cover some parts of Kansas and Nebraska this morning. But for the most part, across parts of southern Kansas and Oklahoma, clear skies over that area, and that's going to be important for increasing instability on over this region. We do have some isolated showers moving on through Pennsylvania this morning and into the afternoon. Now, taking a look at our severe weather threat for today, we do have a slight risk for severe storms across parts of northeastern Kansas, northern Missouri, parts of extreme southwestern Iowa, and southeastern Nebraska today, with a marginal risk extending all the way down into parts of Oklahoma and even into parts of western Illinois today. Now, as we take a look at those impacted in that slight risk, Salina, Kansas, Kansas City, St. Joseph, west of Columbia and west of Quincy, south of Omaha, all within that slight risk for severe storms today. East of Hayes, west of Oklahoma City, basically south of I-70, basically west of I-35, are basically expecting a marginal risk for severe weather today. Springfield, Missouri, and that marginal risk, and west of Springfield, Illinois, and South Des Moines, all within that marginal risk of severe weather today. Now, there is a small chance for tornadoes today south of I-70 along the I-35 corridor. You can see near Salina, Wichita, all within, there's a small 2% risk for tornadoes today. And we'll talk about this later today, why the tornado threat is pretty low for today. And I'm not expecting really any tornadoes to really come of the event today. Look, there's a lot of inhibiting factors for tornadoes today within this area, but we'll have to continue to monitor to see if anything changes with the forecast on that. But I have pretty low confidence on tornado activity today. Maybe an isolated tornado warning or two, but pretty low confidence on tornado development today. The main threat for today is going to be the probability for severe hail. A 50% probability for severe hail is possible today across that slight risk area for Salina, St. Joseph, Kansas City, west of Columbia, Quincy, south of Omaha, basically all with are expected to have possibility for 1 inch or greater in diameter hail today. This graphic right here is showing the probability for severe wind. Ignore the fact that this says hail. It did not change for some reason when I was creating the graphic today, but there's a small chance for damaging wind gusts today south of I-70, along the I-35 and north of I-40. So basically northwest of Oklahoma City, including Wichita, south of Salina, could see the possibility for some damaging wind gusts. And this is kind of where that low-level jet is going to begin to intensify across this area as this low pressure center begins to develop, that we have ejecting out over the with a shortwave and jet max ejecting over the Rockies, creating this area of low pressure over the region. Like I said, for the overall area for the Central Plains today, lower Mississippi Valley, slight risk for severe weather, low chance for tornadoes. My confidence is pretty low on that too, so I do agree with the Storm Prediction Center. There is a slight risk for hail and a very low threat for wind, mostly across that one area where the low-level jet is going to begin to intensify over the next couple of hours. So we do have this area of low pressure just across the southwestern portions of Kansas, a dry line extending across parts of Texas and then back into New Mexico. And we had this weak stationary boundary stretch across the area that's going to begin to basically undergo some frontogenesis and become more of a warm front as the low-level surface winds evac warm, moist air over the area, and we'll see that warm front begin to intensify as that shortwave begins to move on closer, with the Pedersen rule beginning to develop, allowing for this low-pressure system to undergo some cyclogenesis. This is the forecast surface analysis as we move into about 0Z this evening. So this is about 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. You can see that low pressure system has moved a little bit to the north and to the east. You see that stationary boundary still there. I think this is more of a warm front by the time this begins to around this time, as the warm air continues to move and evac northward across the region. Taking a look at the 21Z model, this is the HRRR model for moisture. You can see the dry line across basically parts of southern Kansas, across western Oklahoma, and parts of northwestern Texas. And this is going to be the main initiation line for that for the thunderstorms in Oklahoma and Texas, where that damaging wind threat is going to most likely be, where that low-level jet is going to be moving on across. You can see the southerly winds coming out of the south at about 10 to 20 knots, evacting low-level moisture across the area. This is looking at about 2 meters, so just right above the surface, and you can see that warm front draped across the area. Southerly winds right here becoming more easterly where that boundary is. So we have that change of direction of winds right there, and a lot of this is going to allow is a lot of this low-level moisture is going to move on over this warm frontal boundary. Some thunderstorms are going to initiate right along this boundary right here, and they're going to be more elevated in nature, as you see some of the more drier air out ahead of that warm front. Out ahead of that warm front, as you take a look at our SKUT sounding here in just a little bit, these thunderstorms are going to be more elevated, and that's going to be more what's promoting that hail threat more than tornadoes and stuff like that. The tornado threat is going to be mostly confined to where this basically this dry line in this warm front is basically just right in this little small broad region of the warm sector of this new developing low. You can see that unstable air mass beginning to develop across the area. We have, instability well above 1,500 joules per kilogram, and even above 2,000 joules per kilogram, approaching 2,500 joules per kilogram in a lot of this area. And what CAPE is showing us is what it stands for is convective available potential energy. So basically it's the measure amount of the potential amount of energy that's stored in the atmosphere for thunderstorms to feed off of. The more energy there is, the more that thunderstorms can grow and build to be stronger in that nature. And basically what is happening is the environmental lapse rate is greater than the moist lapse rate. There's warm air at the surface, cold air aloft, creating instability. And this is enhanced by that low-level moisture and warm air advection and a short wave moving on into the area, as we'll see as we move into our upper air analysis charts and stuff like that. Now, taking a look at 850 millibars, this is at 21Z, so about 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time. We have an increasing low-level jet over across Oklahoma. This is going to be that key factor for that damaging wind gust threat across that area. This is what is basically causing that. Any thunderstorms that develop and they have that low-level jet, those downdrafts are going to be able to produce basically marginally damaging wind gusts within this area with this 25 to 35 knot low-level jet that's going to be beginning to increase as that low-pressure system undergoes cyclogenesis. Now, as we take a look at 500 millibars, we do have a 500 millibar shortwave ejecting its way out over the Rocky Mountain region. This is basically what's helping create cyclogenesis. You have basically with a shortwave out ahead of that, you have upward vertical motion, divergence aloft, and you have PVA. PVA is positive vorticity infection. Is basically basically is saying that this is enabling cyclonic spin in the atmosphere, which is good for cyclogenesis. Now, as we move on up to 300 millibars, taking a look at our jet, we do have a discontinuous jet due to this kind of weak shortwave ridge moving on through the area. We have a jet max again, just west of the Rockies, getting ready to eject on out. That's going to help promote that cyclogenesis with that shortwave out ahead of that. We do have a little bit of upper level divergence and exhaust and a little bit out of the way of where our severe weather event is going to be. This is eventually going to transverse its way eastward across the area, promoting just a little bit of divergence aloft across the area, but not much. Now, as we take a look at this, we do have a couple of jet fingers moving on into the region. We do have converging jet fingers over across the Midwest. This is creating some subsidence and high pressure across this area today, but a lot of this is going to change as this jet and this trough axis continues to deep with these strong winds behind it, increasing this trough axis and increasing that cold air advection behind it, which is also going to help promote cyclogenesis at the surface. Now, as we take a look at our surface-based CAPE and our crossover winds, surface winds coming out from the south, our 850 millibar winds are more southwesterly, and our basically our 500 millibar winds are coming from the west. So we do have a little bit of directional shear within the warm sector, the broad warm sector of this developing low pressure system. However, speed shear isn't that impressive. 15 knots, 25 knots, 30 knots. So not much as in for speed shear. We do have nice low level winds. I mean, we have strong low level winds, which is what we kind of want whenever we're talking about tornadoes and stuff like that. You want to see some pretty strong surface winds to help aid that, but the speed shear up in the lowest 1 kilometer is relatively weak, and we'll see that as we take a look at our SKU-T. So taking a look at our SKU-T right here, surface temperature is around 77, surface dew point is around 65. So we do have a pretty moist environment right here. And this is right around that warm front area, kind of more where the severe hail threat is going to be, where those thunderstorms are going to develop and ride along ahead of that warm front. LCL heights, around 850 millibars. So this is going to be right around 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. So these are going to be more elevated thunderstorms, probably a little bit lower than 5,000 feet, just because where they're going to develop. But they're going to be more elevated in nature. For tornadoes, we want to see them right around 1,000 feet or below for tornado development. But for the most part, those LCL heights are going to be relatively high. We do have a elevated mix layer that's going to help steepen mid-level apps rates. It's going to allow for the atmosphere to cool faster with height. That's going to help promote that hail within this region. Again, like I said, those low level winds are southeasterly, becoming more westerly as we move on up. The speed shear is really crap. It's not really that good. You can see that right here on our hodograph. Barely any curvature within our hodograph, as you're going to see quite a bit of difference when we look at tomorrow's hodograph for the severe weather front, where we're probably going to have are going to have a more increased threat chance for tornadoes tomorrow. So that's going to decrease that storm relative helicity. Storm relative helicity values are less than 100 meters squared per second squared. So, that's not conducive to promoting cyclonic rotating updrafts. Like I said, though, we do have quite a bit of instability, around 2,500 joules per kilogram. So we have a very unstable atmosphere. We have a lot of energy for the thunderstorms. Lift indices around -6. But like I said, our 0 to 1 kilometer shear, 11 knots. That's not that good. Our 0 to 3 kilometer shear is around 40. Okay, that's better. 40 knots is pretty good. That'll allow for organized storms. But then our 0 to 6 kilometer shear kind of backs back down to about 37. Still good enough for allowing for organized thunderstorms. Both promote supercellular thunderstorms, as in the shear values. You want around 35 knots or greater, but for the most part, it's not that impressive. Some of the analogs are picking up on the possibility for some hail There's a few analogs, indicating sounding similar to this. Did have a storm that produced 2 3/4 inch hail, one with 2-inch hail, and one with 1 1/4 inch hail. So hail is going to be primarily the main threat for some of these storm systems started to the south. Like I said, that damaging wind gust is going to be the more predominant feature. Now, as we take a look at our Futurecast radar for the rest of today, mostly looking into that slight risk area for today, where that threat for large hail is. So taking a look at our Futurecast radar as we move in through time, for the most part, not seeing much, but by the time we get into about 8, 9 o'clock, you can see storms beginning to develop along that boundary. That boundary is going to start lifting north, becoming more of that warm frontal feature that I was talking about. And this is where we're going to see storms begin to initialize on, and they're going to be elevated in nature, and that's where that hail risk is going to be. By the time we get into about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you can see some isolated strong thunderstorms across Missouri, basically north of I-70. I think if you're in the Kansas, Nebraska area, and even in parts of southern Iowa, you're more than likely going to be probably in the clear out of that slight risk area for hail today. But as we continue in through the overnight hours, you'll see convection begin to increase by the time we get into midnight with some of that hail occurring across this area. And I think most of that hail is going to die off by the time we get into about 2 to 3 o'clock in the overnight, where it'll mostly become just some rain showers, maybe an occasional wind gust, sub-severe, and maybe some lightning and thunder for the most part. That was basically going to be the remainder for that type of thing. Now, taking a look at Oklahoma, you can see there's going to be some possibilities, some isolated showers moving through Oklahoma into Kansas overnight into the morning hours, and that's going to be your marginal wind event for today. And I'm not seeing much on over there. The NAM is showing even a little bit less than the HRRR model. This is the HRRR model for today and into tonight. And it's kind of, is there going to be really storms to develop on down there? We'll have to see. We do have that dry line boundary on over there. Should provide forcing for some convective activity given the unstable moist atmosphere. These models could just be underdoing it just for a little bit. So we'll have to take a look at that here in a little bit later, see if the later model runs pick up more on that. But for right now, this model run is not suggesting much as in convective activity, which is why there's probably that marginal risk on down there. Now, as we move into tomorrow, this is going to be our most robust severe weather event day. Now, for tomorrow, there is an enhanced risk for severe weather, and that enhanced risk stretches all the way across parts of parts of Illinois, across much of Missouri, and even into parts of northern Arkansas, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Springfield, Missouri, Columbia, St. Louis, Quincy, and just south west of Springfield, Illinois, all within that slight risk for severe weather. Texarkana, just east of Tulsa, east of Kansas City, south of Peoria, west of Vincennes, west of Evansville, Memphis, Little Rock, Jonesboro, all within that slight risk for severe weather. Kankakee, just west of Indianapolis, west of Louisville, west of Tupelo, Mississippi, all within, and just east of Oklahoma City, all within that marginal risk for severe weather tomorrow. Now, all modes of severe weather are going to be possible tomorrow. There is a 10% probability for tornadoes tomorrow for Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Springfield, Columbia, and St. Louis. 5% chance for tornadoes across Springfield, Illinois, Quincy, west of Vincennes, Jonesboro, Little Rock, east of Tulsa, and east of Kansas City. There's also the threat for hail greater than or equal to 1 inch in diameter. Greatest threat for that is going to be across parts of central Missouri tomorrow and parts of western Illinois, including Springfield, Columbia, Quincy, and Springfield, Illinois. And then there's also the probability for damaging wind gusts tomorrow, again, across that enhanced risk area. And there's also a slight hatching of this 30% hail probability just east of Springfield, east of Columbia, including St. Louis, west of Jonesboro, and just east of Fayetteville. All have that basically that enhanced chance for within that 30% probability within that region. Now, for the mid-Mississippi Valley and the Ozarks tomorrow, enhanced risk for severe weather. There is going to be a greater chance for tornadoes tomorrow, around that slight to moderate chance for hail, and more of a moderate chance for wind tomorrow. Now, like I said, that low pressure system was going to be developing, undergoing cyclogenesis. You can see that low pressure system has deepened quite a bit over 24 hours compared to the WPC chart I showed for today, that forecasted chart. You can see we have this nice closed ring around this low pressure system, a nice well-defined cold front developed, stretch across Missouri into Oklahoma and parts of Texas, and a nice defined warm front stretch across Illinois and Indiana with a very broad warm sector. And you can see how broad that warm sector is right here as we take a look at our forecast model. This is the NAM 3 kilometer. You can see those southerly winds at about 10 to 15 knots, vecting low-level moisture across the area. Dew points up in the upper 60s, even approaching 70 across the warm sector of this low-pressure system. The advancing cold front with the winds now coming from the north, kind of the northwest, now indicating that we have a nice well-defined cold front, more southwesterly ahead of the cold front. And then take a look at this warm front right here. Southerly winds right ahead of the cold front, more easterly right along the cold front. So we have a lot of good backing winds right along the warm front right here. And I feel like this warm front is going to be the play tomorrow, especially if you're chasing storms tomorrow for tornadoes. There is a secondary threat for some tornadoes down here, I think in Arkansas and even parts of Missouri, where there's some stronger low-level backed winds. There's some 20-knot winds, 25-knot, 15 to 25 knot surface winds in a couple areas right here. And I think another good area is going to be right around this triple point where this warm front, cool front, possibly the slight occlusion kind of develops. I think there's going to be some good low-level winds supportive of tornadoes within that region. Take a look at our surface instability. Surface instability is going to build across their area. A lot of areas above 2,000 joules per kilogram, even above 2,500 joules per kilogram. So a lot of energy for any of these thunderstorms to tap into along this very broad warm sector that we have tomorrow. And as that low pressure system develops tomorrow, taking a look at our 850 millibar winds, we have that increasing low level jet. We have that increasing closed contours of this low pressure system at the surface. So we have this nice developing low height center now reflective at 850 millibars. You have this area of high pressure over the Atlantic, and you have this increasing contour gradient from that low and that high, along with that low deepening, creating an increased low level jet tomorrow, around 40 to even 50, 55 knots tomorrow. So a very strong low level jet, and that's kind of important for tornado development. Now, as we take a look at our 500 millibars, now we have more divergence in the mid-levels tomorrow. We have an increasing 500 millibar jet. We have this short wave pushing on through the area that's going to promote, again, upward vertical motion, divergence aloft. Out ahead of that, low pressure of that short wave, we have PVA, which is promoting positive vorticity, which is, again, promoting cyclonic spin in the atmosphere. And then as we take a look at our jet tomorrow, we have a nice increased upper level trough compared to what we had today. We have that slight ridge in the area. So we have this more troughing of the jet axis, allowing for this more divergent flow. You can see there's increased divergence. There's more diffluent flow out ahead of that, jet max moving on through the region. There's even, a couple areas I want to note out on this chart. You do see these couple of jet fingers. I believe these are a couple fingers from the Arctic jet, because around 500 millibars, the 500 millibar temperatures support around negative 30 degrees Celsius temperatures. So that's kind of temperatures that we look at for whenever we're trying to find our Arctic jet. So there's a little bit of hints of Arctic jet creating some areas of shared energy across the Pacific Northwest and across the Northeast and Great Lakes region. So that's kind of interesting to take a look at. But like I said, we have increasing diffluence aloft that's going to promote thunderstorm development tomorrow. This is our 0 to 1 kilometer EHI, and this is co-locating where some of that strong surface instability is, and co-locates where that strongest surface 0 to 1 kilometer shear is. This is why I'm saying there's possibility for some of that 0 to 1 kilometer shear, possibly creating an area tornadoes ahead of the cold front, maybe some prefrontal storms that they do develop across Arkansas and Missouri, but most likely around this triple point, as this low pressure system continues to advance, is going to be another great player for tornado development across the time. And this ramplifies. This is at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This intensifies some as we move into the overnight hours, especially across Missouri and Arkansas, with that increasing low-level jet. Now, I want to basically take a look at the models here. Let's now taking a look at that, energy helicity index. This is now at 1Z, so this is a little bit after dark. That low level jet's increasing. You can see how that EHI increases across parts of Missouri and Arkansas, and even along parts of this narrow corridor of the warm front across parts of Illinois tomorrow. And I think this is going to be a pretty big player, and I could see, tornadoes being some nocturnal tornado activity possibly developing with this storm system. Now, taking a look at significant tornado parameter, you can see there's a little bit of an area across Arkansas that could see enhanced probabilities for tornadoes tomorrow, and then right around this triple point. But I want to show you how this significant tornado parameter increases as that low-level jet ramplifies as we move into the nocturnal hours tomorrow. And you can just see how that low-level jet increases with the tornado activity more along that cold front as we move into the nocturnal hours, moving away from that triple point and that warm front compared to what we were seeing in the beginning. But for the most part, damaging winds will be possible down there. Now let's take a look at tomorrow. Now, taking a look at tomorrow, this is tomorrow morning. You can see that nice warm front stretched all the way across basically Iowa, central Illinois, and arcing its way down through parts of Indiana. And this is what is going to be lifting off to the north. A lot of showers and precipitation up north of that, some more stratiform precipitation, a little bit of cumuliform precipitation with those higher reflectivity values where we could see some isolated thunderstorms. Now, as we move throughout the day, that boundary is going to slowly be lifting to the north. By the time we get into the afternoon and evening hours, by the time we move to about 5 o'clock, you can see some of those thunderstorms developing along and ahead of that cold front. These thunderstorms right here are ahead of that cold front. That cold frontal boundary is right back here along Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma border. So we have some isolated convective thunderstorms that may develop out ahead of that cold front. This is where some of that tornado potential is going to be in full force. It's going to be right within this area, within this boundary, around 5 o'clock. Some secondary thunderstorms developing right behind that main system. According to the NAM 3-kilometer model, you can see that those thunderstorms and then robust convective activity developing along this cold front. This is at 5 o'clock 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow. And you can see that big line of convection stretching all the way across parts of Missouri back into Oklahoma and continuing through the overnight hours where it will become more of a damaging wind event. But there could be some embedded supercell thunderstorm structures within this convective line that is going to develop tomorrow. Now, not only are we still tracking severe thunderstorms today and tomorrow, that storm system is going to continue to progress eastward. That is forecasted tomorrow to impact parts of Illinois, Missouri, and Arkansas. Is now going to continue to move its way on over towards the Appalachian Mountain region, into the Mid-Atlantic, and even into the Carolinas. You can see parts of West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, parts of northern Georgia, and the Carolinas region, all under that threat of slight risk for severe thunderstorms as we move into Monday with that marginal risk surrounding that. As we move into Tuesday, severe thunderstorms are going to, again, re-intensify over parts of the central plains. You can see Kansas, Oklahoma, and parts of northern Texas, even a small portion of southern Nebraska could see the possibility for some severe thunderstorms as we move into Tuesday. And then as we move into Wednesday, that severe weather threat is going to move its way on towards the Gulf Coast region, parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and even parts of the the Florida Panhandle, places like New Orleans, Biloxi, Mobile, all within the threat for severe weather as we move in on to Wednesday. Now, I do want to thank you guys for checking out today's video. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And be sure to check out some of those links in our description section to our social media, our website, and our Patreon page to help support this channel. Now, also be on the lookout for some possible live streams over the next couple of days, depending on the timing of these severe storms. I am on midnights right now doing my other duties, doing weather for the Air Force. So depending on that stuff, I may try to go live a little bit before I have to go to work and doing some stuff like that. So if I don't go live, it's because I'm going to be resting to get ready to go to work to do stuff for the military, doing weather for them. But for the most part, I do try to plan on going live, and if I don't, that's the reason why. I'm meteorologist James Long signing off for today. You guys have a great and wonderful day, and be sure to check out some other videos, and hopefully you guys subscribed.